I think because what's in accounting versus what's in reality is oftentimes different. So we do spend a lot of time on analyzing companies' balance sheet, because a lot of Korean companies tend to have different subsidiaries underneath the main company. I think it's kind of similar to the holding company Scott Darbo was talking about. So we do, we don't rely on book numbers. So we oftentimes, break it down to some of the parts, spend a significant amount of time in analyzing whether the numeric cheapness makes sense or not. And of course, we need to understand the business first. I mean, even if the company looks cheap, and if you don't understand the business model, then it's very difficult to judge.
Yeah, actually, of course, we start by looking at the numbers. And if you look at the financial statements, and those numbers tell you a lot about the past history of the company. And the history itself is, of course, a good indicator of, one of the good indicators of predicting the future, but that's not all. So that's why you look at the companies, the industry dynamics, the competitiveness of the company, and we look at the competitors and suppliers and all those things. So we start from the numbers, but numbers are not the all. So that way, as we said before, try to avoid the value traps. Just cheap-looking companies, we try to avoid those type of companies.
Right, because our portfolio tend to be a little bit more concentrated. So if for many foreign investors, another way of doing it is, buying basket of cheap-looking companies, because you can't tell which one's real cheap or not. But because we're based here, we think that we know how to value companies, and because we have different ways of verifying companies' valuation. So that's why we can be more focused, and just I think the key reason we're able to do well in Korea was because we're able to avoid value traps. So for us, it's important that we analyze the downside risk. So in terms of baseball, we're a very good defensive team. So even if our idea is wrong, basically we won't lose. We won't suffer too much from investing in wrong ideas, because we're very conservative in evaluating companies, and we do spend a lot of time on analyzing downside risk.